Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our Cottage Rentals overview. This presentation is specifically for those looking to better understand the cottage rental program, how it works, how we market, and more importantly, what the direction is moving forward with our cottage rental program and just the vacation rental business at large. Many of you know that the home sharing industry started with VRBO, HomeAway, and now Airbnb. They have become the preferred vacation experience over hotels and motels, which are the more traditional lodging options. This is a little quote from a study done by Goldman Sachs. If people have stayed in peer-to-peer lodging, Airbnb or HomeAway in the last 5 years, the likelihood that they prefer traditional hotels, just a great study showing and demonstrating the metrics behind people preferring a vacation rental home. But if you've rented vacation homes, you probably know that they're also not created equal. And this is where Seabrook really stands apart from the crowd. What's really unique about Seabrook is that we are, number one, we are on site. And that's unlike any other property management company that we know of. We are within a very short distance, usually just a couple of minutes away from every single house, using one of our vehicles or one of our golf carts. But we are trying to be as quick as we can to respond to our guests' needs and our homeowners' needs. And if you were to rent typically a home in another area, they usually give you a key box or a code for a key box or some other way to check in. But in Seabrook, we actually get to have face-to-face interaction with our guests when they check in, which our homeowners really like because we are able to see the guests and make sure that it's the number of people they said it was going to be. And, if they have a pet and they rented a home that was not dog-friendly, obviously we can catch those kind of things early on and make other arrangements for them. The other thing that we include that you wouldn't typically get from a regular vacation rental home is amenities on site. So swimming pool, tennis courts, pickleball courts, and now we have a really nice indoor gym for the off season when people want to get a nice workout and maybe don't want to go outside. We've got a really nice gym to work out. So, and then the next piece is really what we're going to be talking a little bit more about today is the growth of our town center. To be able to walk right into the town center, restaurants, shops, and entertainment for friends and family is really what helps round out this experience. Our homes are also designed to meet the vacation rental demands, meaning number one, they're high quality, but number two, we utilize our designs are really designed for vacation, meaning we usually use lesser closets, less storage in the homes, so that we have nicer open spaces and public spaces within the house. So instead of having a big walk-in closet in the master bedroom, for example, our kitchens are bigger. Our bathrooms are usually a little bit smaller, but we have more of them so that it's comfortable for all the guests staying in the house. So those are just some of the design decisions that we make to make it a really great vacation rental. Also, we have on-site security, which again, owners and guests really appreciate. During peak times, we run that 24 hours, 7 days a week. And then again, quick response. So if someone checks in and something's not working right, or they can't get the remote control to work, our team's goal is to be there within 5 minutes, and that's a very unusual. So if you've come on my town tours, you've heard me talk about this. The Oregon coast is really saturated. There's about 10 lodging units on the Oregon coast for every one lodging unit on the Washington coast. And I have some slides coming up that also talk about that. So the bottom line is the Washington coast was really needing a go-to beach town. Most people from the Puget Sound area were driving an extra 2 hours down to Cannon Beach and Manzanita and Gearhart And we saw the opportunity to build a beach town closer to the masses and closer to household wealth. And this is broken down in this next slide. So within a 3-hour drive, we have 6.8 million people, and that's in comparing to Cannon Beach. So the CB is actually showing Cannon Beach, which is 4.2 million. What's interesting about this is if you actually expand this map out to, or this circle out to 3 hours and 15 minutes, we also encompass Portland. And so our population grows even more than this as far as proximity to Seabrook. And one thing that surprised us is how many people from Portland are coming up to Seabrook because they have friends and family in the Puget Sound region, and this has become kind of their compromise, their halfway point along the coast to come out to Seabrook. And we also have several homeowners from Portland and Oregon in general that find Seabrook to have something that the Oregon coast doesn't have, and that's really that walkability and that community that you just don't find in most places. This is just looking at household incomes within a 3-hour drive. You can see that we have 133% more people that are making or have incomes over $100,000, and then $150,000 incomes. We have 164% more people within our 3-hour drive. And 3-hour drive is very significant because studies show that people that own vacation homes, if they're more than a 3-hour drive, typically owners burn out and just can't use the home as much as they wanted to. If the home is within a 3-hour drive, people own their vacation home much longer period of time, and they usually pass them on to other family members because it's a place that they can get to easily without much trouble. They don't have to get on a plane, that kind of thing. So the fact that we're also a coastal destination makes it even more used even more than locations that are, you're required to have chains or cross mountain passes in the wintertime. The beauty of having a house at the beach, and also one of the vacation rental program, is that we're getting people year round. It's not just a summer thing or, a spring break thing. We're getting people that are coming out really pretty much every weekend. Also, we just happen to be fortunate enough to be close to the fastest growing city in the U.S. right now with Seattle. And all those people moving into Seattle, it's putting more pressure on the city, and people want to get out of the city. And we feel like Seabrook is the best positioned destination right now to capture all the new business moving to Seattle that they really don't know where to go or what to do. A lot of them are finding Seabrook. They're hearing about it on social media or from friends at work, and they're coming out and falling in love. So also, who's moving to Seattle may interest some of you. What's interesting here is 55% of these people are ages 22 to 34, which this is a great demographic for our vacation rental side of the business because they want to come out for a week and have fun with friends and family and just have a really good experience. But that group is also going to be our guests and buyers of the future as they get into that 35 to 49-year-old age group. And then this is just showing how much these people in Seattle are making. So 48% are making over $100,000. That's the perfect guest for Seabrook that is looking for a really nice vacation close to their primary residence and wants to have all the experiences, the retail, the shopping, the restaurants, all within a short proximity. But what we love about Seabrook is that it's very inclusive, and it is still very affordable for families on a per person basis. And we get all income groups coming out to Seabrook and enjoying it for family reunions and vacations and things like that. We never want Seabrook to be an exclusive or an elitist type of place, but this just gives you a breakdown of who's coming down to Seabrook and what kind of incomes they're making. There are very large barriers to entry into Seabrook as far as the real estate market is concerned, and I usually tell people that no matter where you're thinking about buying real estate, it's really important to understand if the barriers to entry are high or if they're low. I always recommend buying real estate in areas that have high barriers to entry, and it's much more speculative when you're purchasing property that has a low barrier to entry. So here, what creates high barriers to entry for Seabrook is, number one, limited available coastline. As many of you know, north of us is the Quinault Reservation and Olympic National Park, which will most likely never be developed, especially the national park. And the Quinaults have no interest in developing any new communities or neighborhoods up there, other than for their own nation. So the available land on the Washington coast that can be developed is very, very limited, because most of it has been developed from Seabrook to the north and Seabrook to the south. What's creating the biggest barrier, though, is actually public infrastructure, so sewer capacity and water capacity. And so from Seabrook down to Ocean Shores, there is absolutely zero public infrastructure. That means no sewer and no water capacity. So that's why it looks like, if you've driven that section, like there's really nothing that's happened for many decades. It's because there is no public infrastructure. It creates a huge barrier for competition in our area. And then the town design and execution. We have been designing and building the communities that we live in now for over 20 years, and there's a learning curve. The art of town building is not something to take lightly. We obsess about it. We live it every day, and we think that shows when guests and owners visit Seabrook for the first time, or potential owners visit Seabrook for the first time, that there's a lot of attention to detail, and it's not like your typical resort that most people visit when they're on vacation. And then our vacation rental program is also, because we're on site, and we offer amenities, and we have a really high level of service, it is also makes this a very large barrier to entry, that the experience that we offer a guest is significantly different than what they can get in Cannon Beach or any of these other beach towns along the Oregon coast or the Washington coast. And then finally, just the walkability of our town center, and you can see the town center in the background there. So this is just showing, this speaks to that, the demographics and the strength of the demographics. Over the last 10 years, we've averaged about 20% year-over-year growth. And if you're an accounting person or a finance person, you understand how difficult it is to grow have that kind of growth year after year after year. And this year, we just looked at the numbers. We actually had a slower start this year because we just put in a new website, and there's always always a lot of effort that's put into that. But we're already up 17% year to date over last year, 2017. So just it keeps on growing at a rapid pace, and we can't really build homes fast enough to support the demand for the vacation rental business. This is just showing Cottage Rentals individual home growth. So you can see the 40,000 number, and that is on a continuous incline. So we're not just focused on the gross revenue in Seabrook, but we're also tracking our homes, the number of homes, or I should say the total revenue divided by the number of homes. So that's what this is showing us is the average income this year is projected to be around $45,000 gross on a per home basis, and that's what's more meaningful to a homeowner. And then just showing the cottage rental occupancy growth. We're growing our occupancy with creative marketing, events, which I'll talk about a little bit later, and also the town center. The more retail we have, the more people want to come out to Seabrook. So this next slide is really just showing the types of people who are buying in Seabrook. We believe we're still in the early majority here. of the evolution of Seabrook. And most people that have watched brands develop understand that it's not until things are well established before the late majority really starts to discover the brand or the place and start to put some really big dollars behind it. So we think there's still a lot of upside in Seabrook as our town center develops and our events grow stronger and get more popular, and we just continue to get better at what we do. So a lot of people feel like, oh, well, we should have bought there 5 years ago or 3 years ago or 10 years ago, but we still feel like we're very much in the early stages of Seabrook's maturity and growth. And when the town center hits that critical mass of shops and restaurants, we'll start getting into that late majority, and we believe we'll see prices increase and nightly rates increase. Well, first of all, it's important to know that 40% of our homeowners do not rent, and about 60% do. So the 60% that do rent, the first type of owner is more just focused on them and use of the home. But the second type of owner is someone that's a little more aggressive with the rental income and wants to make sure that the home is available in the peak times and the busy weekends so they get maximum income. And what usually happens is owners start as number two. They're more focused on the rental income, but over the years, they start to spend more and more quality time with their friends and family in peak times because they start to get more comfortable with the rental income, and usually people are getting promotions or growing in their own positions and becoming financially more comfortable as they own the homes over a longer period of time. And then we have owners that are just somewhere in between. They kind of manage. They'll take some quality time, and then they'll give up a lot of the quality time. So they try to find a balance. And every homeowner is different and has different priorities, which varies the results and the success of the homes in our program. A lot of people ask us, what are the key characteristics of successful rental homes? And number one is interior design and the furnishings. Comfortable furnishings that are attractive, look great in photos, but also in person. Those are the homes that usually attract the most attention and receive the most rental revenue. Number two, having a personal touch and consistent upkeep of the home. We do light maintenance on the homes, but we have a lot of homeowners that are really proactive. So when they're there, when they come out to the home, they'll spend a couple of hours, tightening screws and just making sure that the house is all in really good working order. And they really take ownership of the home. And the guests really feel that when they're there, that a homeowner's been really attentive to the details in the home. And then number three, listening to guest feedback. Our homeowners that listen to guest feedback will usually be proactive and make any necessary changes, and that usually results in more income and more occupancy in their home. Or owners that aren't really as worried about guest feedback and they're not really willing to make the changes that guests comment on, they usually do struggle a little bit more with rental income and occupancy. To maximize your rental home revenue, number one, stay at your home during the week, especially in the summertime. So a lot of our homeowners will come midweek, take a little time off work, and they may work a little bit on the weekend just so they can be out here midweek. Or they'll bring their laptop and get some work done while they're here. I don't know about you, but when I go on vacation, I can get a lot done in a couple hours, a lot more than I can get done in the office sometimes without a lot of the distractions. So our owners really do like to spend a little time working out at the beach as well. So our homeowners will usually look for the less occupied weekends and then have their getaways then instead of our really, really popular weekends. And then last minute escapes to the beach. So if they call us on a Thursday and their home isn't booked and they kind of watch it on a daily basis and they see, oh wow, the house isn't going to be rented, let's head out there. They usually just give us a call, which we recommend because we don't want to rent it in between. And they'll call and say, hey, we're coming down. So we'll block it out for them, and our homeowners will come out and enjoy the weekend. One nice thing about a homeowner is that they usually use the entire weekend. They stay usually late on Sunday nights. They're not checking out in the morning or midday like our guests do. Our owners usually stay for dinner and then drive home after dinner. And the real ambitious ones will get up in the morning and hit it early on Monday morning. And then finally, personal home marketing. Our homeowners that do some social media on their own, the ones that I talk to that do really well, I'll ask them, like, how much time do you spend? They'll usually tell me like an hour or 2 hours a week, but they tend to get more nights rented than other homes because they spend a little time doing social media and reaching out to their sphere of influence and letting them know, hey, we own a beach house. It's also an investment, but we can offer our friends and family, discounts. And when owners do that in the very beginning, that really fills up their home more quickly and builds a nice base. And then over time, you can reduce that discount or eliminate it entirely. A lot of our homeowners will also just repost our posts, which just keeps the Seabrook message out there with their audiences. So, and again, that reposting our posts is very easy to do and quick, but it keeps their again, sphere of influence engaged in Seabrook. And then the process. We really tell people that size doesn't matter when it comes to your beach home. In fact, I'm usually telling people to buy a little bit smaller home rather than bigger home, because I believe that a lot of people buy more vacation home than they actually need. They might be planning for a big Thanksgiving week or something like that, and where everyone comes down. But the reality is that only happens, once or twice a week for most, or once or twice a year for most people. So getting a house that just fits the core group of people that are going to use it the most is really one of the things that I encourage people to do, because the reality is the best homes in our program, it still comes down to the comfort and the decor and the homeowner interests and efforts that they make with the home, making sure that it looks good and is maintained at a high level. Those things go farther than the actual home size. Now, that said, we have some very, very tiny homes and some very, very large homes that do incredibly well in our program. But on average, it just doesn't matter that much what size the home is. It's usually more about the decor and the comfort of the home. Obviously, again, we talked about interior design. This is just a couple of examples of homes that have really beautiful interiors. What are some examples of, this is another question we get asked a lot, what are some of the examples of revenue for different types of homes at Seabrook? So this gets more in detail, and we're going to go from 2-bedroom homes to 5-bedroom homes here. So if you're someone that's been interested in a 2-bedroom home, the average nights rented for a 2-bedroom home is about 156 nights, and the average income is $30,928. Now, if you look, and like I said, the results really vary on all of our homes, because every home, you own the home if you have it in the program, and you get to dictate how much you want to rent it or don't want to rent it. You get to dictate what restrictions. Obviously, you have say in the decor and the finishes, and then how well the house is maintained over the years. But if you look at our top 5 average 2-bedroom homes, they're averaging about 216 nights a year, and the average, or the top 5 average, are bringing in about $44,000 a year. So that's it for the 2-bedroom. Now here's the 3-bedroom. The average 3-bedroom is renting about 140 nights a year, with an average income of $41,000 a year. And then you look down to the top 5 average. The top 5 average are closer to that 200 nights a year, and the top 5 average are closer to $80,000, almost double the average in our top 5 homes for 3-bedroom homes. And I don't have these 5 homes right in front of me, but I would bet that they are, again, very well furnished, well designed, very comfortable. They get great guest comments, and those owners probably do a little bit of social media on their own to get those types of results. And then a 4-bedroom home, average, this is a little drop here, but average nights rented about 121 nights, and the average income is $54,000 for a 4-bedroom home. And our top 5, their number of nights aren't nearly as much as the last 2, but they're still bringing in about $90,000 in gross revenue. 5-bedroom homes, these are average nights rented, so you see the numbers going down a little bit further. But because the rates are higher on these bigger homes, they make up for it quickly in the rent or in the gross revenue. Now, one thing to keep in mind, this is the gross revenue of each of these, and our homeowners keep 63% of that, and Seabrook Cottage Rentals keeps 37% for the management fee. So you keep that in mind when you're looking at these numbers and doing the math on your own. So the top 5 average here are renting about 141 nights, which is very low, but if you look at their average income, again, they're bringing in a significant amount of income. So we've really brought on a lot more revenue management. We hired our new general manager, Christophe Chabot, who has managed Four Seasons resorts all over the world for about 18 years. And one thing he's really helped us with is dialing in our revenue management. So we're doing more revenue forecasting, more inventory management, more reporting and trafficking, KPIs. Eva, help me with KPIs again.
Key performance indicators.
So key performance indicators. These are things that we didn't even have a revenue management system before Christophe came on. So we're getting more sophisticated with how we manage our growth and revenue. And then finally, pricing, looking at the pricing, making sure that if prices are too low, that we increase them more quickly. And if they're too high, we bring them down appropriately to meet the market demands. So our marketing program, we've always been very proactive and very creative with how we use our marketing dollars from the very beginning. So we are constantly evolving and innovating. We are usually changing on our website, every, I would say, 3 to 5 years. And those are big, major overhauls. We're also always looking for the best software solutions for our cottage rental program. So we just made a change this year from a system that didn't allow, or it was not open source, meaning that we couldn't be connected to nationals like Airbnb and HomeAway and Priceline, Expedia, Booking.com, those types of websites. And our new software actually allows us to do that. And we didn't implement that until, the website was new in late February, middle of March, and we are just now connecting with these distribution channels. And I think Booking.com was our very first one. What's our
Airbnb was one that we had already been on, that we continued our presence on there. HomeAway is just in the early stages now, and Booking.com as well.
Yeah, so we've been engaged with Airbnb, but we're working on some new initiatives with Airbnb that could really expand our presence on Airbnb. And then also HomeAway, we have a new partnership with HomeAway, and all of these things will add up to more demand on homes in Seabrook for cottage rentals. Again, we added a new website, kind of a top-of-the-line website, and then tools that allow us maximum revenue potential are things that we're always looking for. We've built a very strong social media following. Thank you if you're a part of that, for being a part of our community online. We have about 100,000 organic customers in the database, about 28,000 on Facebook, and these continue to grow. We've had about 30% social media growth in the past 12 months. So gives you an idea of how quickly our social media is expanding, and we're becoming more and more recognized. We also have some great TV ads running right now that are having a lot of success. They're targeted, I should say that they're focused on our target audiences for not just renting homes, but also purchasing homes. And we're getting a lot of great feedback here. And then our guests and owners are able to post their very own personal stories on our.seabrook.com. And if you go to our.seabrookwa.com, you'll read a lot of stories from homeowners and guests visiting Seabrook, and there's some actually really amazing stories of people and their families coming out and enjoying special times with us. So we thank you all for putting Seabrook on the list of places to be with your family and friends. And then now we've been talking a lot about marketing and the actual home performance, but what's really the game changer in Seabrook is adding our town center. We have plans for about 50,000 square feet of retail. Within the next few months, we'll be opening about 8,000 square feet of retail, so 8 new shops, actually 9 new shops. And then we have a new restaurant that's under construction that'll be open probably beginning of next year. And then we'll be planning, or we're already planning for the next new start on Market Street, which will probably be more retail, a grocery store, and an arcade, and some other things. So all these things will really bring more people to Seabrook. And one of those things that we'll be adding is more event space, because one of the things the areas we're underserved is having more corporate meeting space during the week. We have a lot of corporations that want to have meetings out here. A lot of those people own houses in Seabrook, and they want their groups coming out here, but we haven't had enough space for them. So by creating more space, we'll put more demand on our homes and bring more people and expose more people out to Seabrook. So that's just looking over the town center. This is some of the progress photos. These are some of the online travel agents that our new software system is opening us up to, and streamlining that process, where before we really didn't have those connections that were very strong. Now our new software, it's called V12, allows us to be better connected. And a lot of people will say, well, do people come out here in the off season? And the answer is yes. Every year we're adding new events to our slowest weekends from the previous year. So if you were out here for Sabre Seabrook, I think it was in May, it was a sold out weekend, but that was typically a weekend that we might have run 60% occupancy. So now that event's becoming so popular, now that weekend's 100% occupancy. So every year we're investing more. We actually doubled our events budget this year because we know how valuable these events are to our slower weekends, and we invest less in our events in the busy times because we know people are coming to visit us in the busy times, and we put our capital and our marketing dollars into the events that are in the off season, which drives more revenue for our vacation homes in the off season. And it also brings people into our shops and restaurants during the off season. So our merchants appreciate these bigger events. We have more weddings going on, more group getaways. We talked a little bit about that event space, how important that is to expand this market, and also expand the wedding business, because that space will also allow us to have more indoor receptions and if we have inclement weather. And another big draw we see in the future is our proposed mountain bike park that we're working with Department of Natural Resources. We're working with Evergreen Mountain Bike Alliance to design a 160-acre mountain bike park. These are the same guys that did designed Duthie Hill and Tiger Mountain. They're the largest mountain bike group in the state and in the region, and they build amazing trails that really attract a lot of attention. So if we can get this mountain bike park approved by the Department of Natural Resources, which we're working on, this will become a huge draw for cyclists all around the region to come out to the coast and ride. So finally, investing in Seabrook, purchasing a home in Seabrook it's a big decision, and it's why we want you to have as much information as possible. But none of this works if this isn't a place where you can enjoy with, again, your friends or family. This is really not the place for everyone. So we want to make sure that when people purchase in Seabrook, it's something that they're going to really use with their friends and family and maximize the investment, because we think the best investment is in your family and friends, and having a special place where everybody gets together. The vacation rental income is really just icing on the cake and allows people to help subsidize their vacation home. So we try to be very open and honest with everyone who purchases at Seabrook about the potential in the cottage rental program, and also the variability in the vacation rental program. So I'm hoping that today you got a better understanding of what that's all about, and also a better understanding of what it takes to have a successful home in the program. And we'd love to meet with you, sit down with you, our cottage rental team. I'm usually available on Saturdays after my town tour at 11 o'clock, and can answer more specific questions about vacation rentals. But we really thank you for taking this time to learn more about Seabrook and our cottage rental program. If you have questions, please ask them via GoToWebinar.
We do have some questions that came throughout the webinar that I'm going to throw your way, Casey.
So for those of you who can stay for the questions, I'm going to just answer a few questions. For those of you who can't wait, thanks for taking the time to be on the webinar.
So you spoke a little bit about interior design. Is that something that Seabrook offers as a service to new homeowners? Great question.
Some of our homeowners just happen to be really good interior designers. We get a lot of people that ask us, like, well, who decorated this home? And we just say, wow, it's the homeowner. That said, we have a lot of very savvy homeowners that are very honest about the fact that they're not good at interior design. And that's really important, because that allows us to get them someone to help them decorate their home and pick all the right furnishings so that it is successful in our rental program. And we do have people that do that. One of them is Lisa McElliott, who runs our little vintage homeware store in Seabrook. It's called Seaworthy. She's a great resource for our homeowners and buyers. And we have other, some of our buyers will bring in someone from Seattle and use their designer from Seattle. But it's money well spent if you're running or you're putting the house into the rental program. If you're not putting in the rental program, it doesn't really matter. As long as it's comfortable to you and attractive to you, it doesn't matter. But if you're putting your house in the rental program, you need to think more of like a business would think in attracting guests.
Can you speak a little bit about the yard maintenance in Seabrook, whose responsibility that is as a homeowner? Does Seabrook have any guidelines to ensure that all homes are looking good out in the yards that they have in front and in the back?
Yes. So some of our homeowners like to do their own landscaping. The good news is there's not a whole lot to do, because Stephen Polakos, our landscape designer and director of town development, he designs all the yards to be as native as possible. So we don't have lawns to mow within the yards, and we plant the yards with native species, so they don't need a lot of irrigation except for in the very beginning, and then they don't need as much maintenance throughout the year. So for homeowners that don't want to do their own landscaping, we have a team that does our common areas already. They're already on site in the area, and they, for very attractive prices, will maintain someone's yard. And that usually means, going in there 4 or 5 times a year and sprucing it up. But the yards are small, they don't require a lot of work, and because the vegetation is native, it's not too much trouble.
And similarly, can you speak a little bit about the maintenance of the home throughout the homeownership process?
Yeah, so that's a great question, because home maintenance has become more of a challenge, especially for the homes that have aged over the years and need a little more work. And so we realize that our homeowners need more help and more support in that area. So we're actually creating our own maintenance program that will actually be run by our construction department, who built the houses originally, have the most information on the houses, and are the most familiar with the houses themselves. So we are developing that program right now, and so in the future, usually when houses get 5 years old plus, that's when you have to start thinking about starting to put some maintenance back into the house. So for people who are buying resales or buying an older home, you have to see how much work they need. But our new maintenance program will make sure that the work gets done at a good quality, at a good price, and at our high standards. And that's something that's difficult for people to do from their primary residence, and we're going to be there to support that and make it easier for our homeowners to maintain their home.
I think that's going to be all for the questions that we have today.
All right, so those are all the questions we have today. Again, thanks for taking the time. If you have any more questions for our vacation rental team, please let us know. If you have any questions for our sales team, please let us know. It's already a very busy summer out at Seabrook. People are having lots of fun. We hope to see you out there soon. Thanks a lot.